Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining me at the Lonely Vine. So, kind of a complicated show today, so I'm going to get right into it because I've got all kinds of stuff going on here. But what I wanted to talk today about is the temperature, the serving temperature of a wine. You hear a lot of people, serve your red wines at room temperature. Room temperature is different for a lot of people, especially if it's in the summer or winter, how good your heat is. It's always going to be different. Um, I keep around 68 degrees, so to me that's a little warm for a wine. I'm going to test this out with Cabernet Sauvignon. I've got 5 glasses here, and I've spent all kinds of time running around the house, out in the garage, steps going down to the basement. Got a sink full of hot water all over there to try to get these wines at different temperatures. Now, the general range that I see a lot of people say that a Cabernet should be served at is 60 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So what I've done is I've got 3 glasses here that are hopefully within that range. My target is 60, 63, and 65, and then I'm having a little fun with the other two, trying to have one down around 55, and we'll just see where the last one is. I just left it in the sink for a bit. So we'll see where it is when we get there. Now, before I get started, I'll just kind of say what I think is going to happen. I think the 3 in the middle, the 60 to 65, are going to be really similar and not show a lot of differences. So I think it'll match right up with that window of that good window for serving temperature. The two extremes, I think the cooler wine will just be very muted, and the warmer wine will be dominated by alcohol and probably the tannins as well. But we'll see what happens. I don't think I'm really going to break any rules or shock anybody with my findings, but I thought it might be fun and interesting to do, so here we go. So our first wine is coming in at 56 degrees. So color's not going to change, so I'll really skip the whole. I wanted to write this down. 56 degrees. So we'll just get right into the smell and taste. And one second. Okay. All right, so let's see what we have going on here. Okay, so I'm definitely getting some fruit. I'm getting a little cellar dust. Fruit-wise, I'm actually getting a little bit of green pepper in there. A little bit of tartness, and when I smell that tartness, I always think of cranberries. And it's tight though. I mean, I'm definitely not getting much out of it. I would say maybe a little cherry as well, but it's pretty tough. Really having to dig to try to get anything out of it. So now let's see what's going on with the palate. Okay, so I get that green pepper component comes through, or that herbaceousness, whatever you want to call it, but it's definitely there, and I do like that. It is interesting. There's a little bit of tartness. I really am not sensing much for tannins at all. I did aerate this wine and eat for each glass before tasting it. Fruit wise, I don't get a whole lot of acidity, which I'm kind of surprised at, and I do get a sense of the tartness. I am getting that cranberry kind of thing coming through. But mostly what I get is just the temperature. I don't get much texture or anything like that in the wine. I don't get a lot of mouthfeel, but it does feel cold. And, that's about all I'm really getting out of it. Not showing me a whole lot. So let's go on to the next one. Right on. 61.6. So far, it's my little science experiment here is holding true. That's far enough. Third wine, don't go any higher. Okay, so I'm still getting that all the same components are coming through. They're just coming through a little bit more. And honestly, not as I thought they would come through more than they are. Pretty much the same stuff. It's just a little bit more there, but not a lot. So let's see what's going on with the palate. Okay, so the nose may not have shown a drastic difference, but the palate really is. And I'm kind of surprised. I'm really picking up more of the acidity, which I thought would be constant throughout. But I'm getting a lot more of the acidity. I'm getting more of sense of the tannin structure. So there's the wine definitely feels more structured. I'm not sensing the alcohol at all, and this is a 14.9% alcohol. I mean, this is a loaded cab. The cranberries coming through, that herbaceousness or green peppers coming through. Well, yeah, very different taste. It's just it's the same flavors, but they're just more amplified. The texture's coming through more. Like I said, the acidity, the tannin structure, it's all there. This, if I was rating the two, there would be a substantial difference. Probably 4 point difference between the two so far. So right away, it's noticeable. Surprised though, the nose, it wasn't so much. So let's move on to the third one. So here we're at 63.7. This one is the one I'm worried about. I think it might go a little high, but we'll see. All right, so 63, 64 degrees, we'll call it. So here, I'm getting something I wasn't getting before, but it's not a fruit. I'm getting, it's almost like a licorice, like a black licorice coming through. So it's a stuffed green pepper, a black licorice, and dust with some cranberry sprinkled on top. So that sounds like a pretty appetizing meal. But wine, yeah, I'm liking it. And I'm getting, the dark cherry that I was getting before, it's noticeable now where it wasn't before. So still not getting any sense of alcohol or anything like that, but now, I've it's gotten more interesting. All right, so on to the palate. That was a dangerous taste. Got a little splashed up in the back of my throat. Yeah, you almost got a spit take. I have to tell you, you almost got a spit take right there. Okay, so now the acidity is there. The tannin structure's there. The structure is there. I'm really feeling the dryness that's coating my mouth. I feel that texture. The mouthfeel is by far the biggest difference that I'm getting between the wines. And really, between these two, which I really wasn't expecting, I'm getting a noticeable textural difference in the wine. Component wise, it's pretty much the same, you know. Yeah, component wise the same, texturally quite a bit different. Um, okay, so on to the next one. We're pushing the limit here at 65.9. So, and we'll drop it in the last one here and see what kind of gong show I've got going on there. Really no difference. You know, the nose is staying right on with the rest of them. Maybe, you know, I am sensing the alcohol a little bit more now. I get that heat in my nose, so I know that there's some alcohol here. So now to the palate. Again, I'm almost like chewing it now. The At this point, I had expected that I would be sensing the alcohol a little bit more, and I'm really not. The balance of this wine is well made. Um, I'm not getting a sense of the alcohol. The tannin structure is really coming through now. Um, I'm really getting a sense of it. You know, it's progressively been the same thing, which I guess is to be expected. But yeah, it's all texture. That's the biggest differences I'm getting in them. Outside of the first one, that was pretty muted. These three have been very similar in nose and taste and flavors, but texturally quite different. And to be honest, I was expecting something a little bit different. Um, you know, there have been small changes in the flavor, but it hasn't been drastic. And the alcohol has not changed much throughout. I am sensing a little bit more here, really not so much down here, but really not much throughout it. Okay, on to the last one. All right, 71 degrees. I was hoping to go a little bit higher. I was hoping to get a little bit more crazy. Like I had it up around 75 when I started. Uh, but we'll see. So a 6 degree difference. We'll see what this one does. Okay, so two things that I'm noticing difference. Definitely smell the alcohol. Alcohol is coming through, but really the dark cherry has really come out. You know, I still get that green pepper. I still get the cellar dust, although not as much. Um, there's still the tartness, but the dark cherry has really sprung forth along with the alcohol. So now let's see what's going on with the palate. Okay. I'm still feeling it. Still feeling the tannins. Still got my mouth all dried out. Uh, I have to say with this wine, I'm pretty impressed that it pretty much 15% alcohol through none of these. I honestly expected that I could feel like I could light a lighter and be a circus act with blowing fire by the end of it, and I'm really not. I definitely I can sense the alcohol, but I thought it would be more pronounced. It's really not. Um, the tannin structure is strong though. I really sense it. Um, Again, beating a dead horse, but as the temperature has gone up, I expected the alcohol to be a lot more pronounced. And with this wine, it was more pronounced, but it wasn't as drastic as I thought it would be. But texturally, the wine exploded in difference from coldest to warmest. I was happiest, probably at the 64 degree. Um, that's kind of where I always serve the wines anyway. So call it a cop out if you wish, but for how it felt texturally, that was my happy place. Um, so there you have it. I'm pushing 16 minutes already, so I don't want to go too much longer. Um, as I thought, I really didn't prove out anything new here, but it was fun. It would have been more fun to have the camera with me while I was getting it all set up because that was kind of comical. And you know, but it does kind of prove out some stuff. Some conceptions that are out there. You have this window for your wines, especially with your reds. And the whites. They can be even more pronounced, really. As they get warmer, they really can start showing flaws a lot more than they do at the colder temperatures. Which we kind of saw here. At 56 degrees, there wasn't much going on. It was just refreshing. But as it got warmer, it really started. I started getting a lot more sense of what made the wine. So there you have it. Question for the show: what's your system for cooling or warming your wines? Do you have a wine fridge? Do you follow the red 10 minutes in the fridge, 20 minutes before you serve, white an hour out of the fridge before you serve? That always seems to be a solid plan. With my reds, I generally put them in the basement, because I found that the basement, sits around 63, 64 degrees, so that really gets it to a good temp. So that's it. I'm done. Please leave a comment. Would love to hear from you. Would love to talk about it. And until the next time, cheers.